Hi, my name is Greg McRae, and I'm running for state senate. It is great to be with you here at church today.
You can't do that.
Wait, what? What do you mean I can't say that? Freedom of speech and all, right? Freedom of speech? Hi, I really am Greg McRae, founder and CEO of Foundation Group, where we strive to make nonprofit issues understandable. Welcome back to our 501c3 University channel. Today we're talking about nonprofits and campaigns, specifically campaigns for public office. And we're right in the middle of the primary season here in February 2024 when we're shooting this, and we have got a long way to go and a lot of yelling back and forth to put up with for the next 9 months or so. As always, the stakes are high, and every candidate thinks they know what's best, and they are eager to get their message out. So what about what happened in the introduction? Free speech and stuff? Well, we're going to talk about this issue by answering some questions submitted by viewers of our channel and readers of our blog at 501c3.org. To the questions. Our first question comes from Jeff in Texas. Jeff writes, if a church trustee runs in a partisan election and wears campaign material in the church and uses church property for personal activity, is that okay? What can we do about it if it's not? Well, great question, Jeff, and the answer is a hard no. It's not okay. And in this situation, you actually have two issues that come into play. One, it's a 501c3 involved in a campaign for public office. The other situation, it's a potential private benefit regarding the trustee himself, but we'll leave that one alone for right now. Let's just explore the campaign activity. Not every nonprofit is prohibited from being involved in campaigns for public office. In fact, most 501c organizations can have some limited candidate promotion or endorsement, unless that is the nonprofit in question is a 501c3. Now, the reason for this is because it is primarily 501c3 charitable organizations that can receive contributions from the public that are tax deductible to the donor. In exchange for this benefit, the law requires a 501c3 to refrain from campaign activity. In fact, the IRS requires all 501c3s to include a restriction in their articles of incorporation that they will not be involved in public office campaigns. This is not a gray area. This is a total prohibition. This falls under a rule known as the Johnson Amendment. Now, the Johnson Amendment was approved during you guessed it, the time of President Johnson, hence the name. The purpose, ostensibly, was to keep charitable assets dedicated to a charitable purpose, and politics aren't charitable. Heck, most of the time it resembles warfare, not charity. But the Johnson Amendment is not without controversy. The biggest point of contention that some have with the prohibition against campaign activity is the infringement on the free speech rights of the nonprofit. Critics contend that an organization shouldn't be legally required to give up a right guaranteed by the Constitution in order to receive a particular tax categorization. I can remember during the Trump administration that he virtually suspended any enforcement by the IRS on nonprofits violating this rule. Now, personally, I think the critics are probably right on this. I've long held as a personal conviction that the Johnson Amendment is unconstitutional. Nevertheless, it's still the law, even if enforcement is uneven and one side seems to get away with it more than the other. The fact is, your nonprofit cannot endorse, promote, or campaign for any candidate for public office, nor allow your organization to provide a platform for a candidate. Now, if your nonprofit wants to stage a candidate forum where a variety of ideas are presented without endorsement, that may be doable. But the question from Jeff was someone, an insider no less, using his church as a hub for his campaign activity. I would advise that church to stop that activity immediately if it wishes to conduct itself legally. Question 2 is similar to Jeff's, and it comes from Bridget in Washington State. Bridget writes, I'm a board member of a local area homeless shelter. Our board president has invited a congressional candidate to speak at our upcoming fundraising event. The candidate has been encouraged to campaign from the stage we're providing for her because her progressive views on this subject mirror a majority of the board's. Our communications director even openly endorsed her in our most recent email newsletter. Isn't this wrong? No one wants to listen to me about this. Yes, Bridget, it's wrong. As a 501c3 charity, your nonprofit is totally prohibited from doing this. Now, there's nothing wrong with issues advocacy. You can encourage your supporters to support candidates generally and without being specific who stand for the side of the issue you wish to influence. You can't spend unlimited resources doing this, but it is well within the rights of any organization to advocate for policy that helps advance their mission. You just can't be a campaign platform for a particular congressional candidate. Which brings us to question 3 from Casey in Georgia. Casey asks, the charity I'm associated with has been involved lately in promoting a referendum that will be on our city's upcoming election ballot. My understanding is that we can't be involved in politics, and I'm concerned we could lose our 501c3 status. Am I wrong about this? Well, Casey, I think you probably are. Again, let's go back to the last conversation. There is a world of difference between candidates specifically and issues generally, or even a referendum specifically. Now, your nonprofit would do well to keep any activity that even whiffs of lobbying to under 10% of your activities and expenses. But as long as it's not excessive, there's no prohibition against a 501c3 advocating for public policy that directly impacts the area of service that your nonprofit addresses. A 501c3 can even apply to the IRS for recognition of its intent to lobby by filing Form 5768 and requesting what's called a 501h election. The nonprofit is still a 501c3, but 501h sets lobbying expenditure ceilings using a sliding scale based on a nonprofit's annual exempt purpose expenditures. In other words, it sets some numeric guardrails so that the nonprofit doesn't exceed what's allowable for lobbying activity. Silly season is upon us. By Tuesday, November 5th, we're all going to be so sick of the nonsense, but at least it'll be over. Until the next silly season kicks off shortly thereafter. But the reality is that these issues matter, and it's important for nonprofits, especially charitable ones, under 501c3, to get this stuff right. Campaigns for public office? No. Lobbying for public policy? A qualified and limited yes. We hope that helps you understand this a little bit better. Thanks for watching. Now go serve your community. Hey, do me a favor and don't navigate away just yet. We would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button below, as it really helps get our content recommended to more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, as we have great content coming your way on a regular basis. Finally, you can click the little bell icon to be notified of new content when we post it. To learn more about Foundation Group, you can visit us on the web at www.501c3.org. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.